There is a quiet moment in life, almost imperceptible, where the world you thought you knew seems to pause, and you feel the edges of your own being tremble. It is not a moment marked by ceremony or celebration, nor is it heralded by applause or recognition. It is the still uncanny pause before the tide of your life shifts, the moment when your own body, mind, and soul begin to whisper truths you have long ignored. Perhaps it starts with a shiver that runs through your spine as you step into a room that feels somehow off, or a sudden inexplicable fatigue that drags at the marrow of your bones. These are not coincidences. These are your own frequencies, reaching out, murmuring that the inner landscape you have inhabited quietly for years is calling for recognition. It is here in these fragile, unremarkable instants that the first tremors of transformation stir, subtle, insistent, impossible to dismiss. The people who walk this path often do not seek recognition, yet they carry a presence that cannot be overlooked. They vibrate with a coherence that challenges the very architecture of the world around them. It is not about meditation streaks or inspirational affirmations pinned neatly to a vision board. It is not about the artful cultivation of a spiritual persona. No, this is deeper, stranger, and far more intimate. It is the undeniable alignment of body, mind, and soul, a state where even the cells themselves seem to pulse in agreement with the truth within. And when this alignment occurs, the world begins to respond in ways that defy casual explanation. Reality itself becomes a mirror, a subtle yet unrelenting feedback system reflecting the hidden harmonies and dissonances of your inner life. At first, these shifts may feel like accidents or strokes of luck. You notice a synchronicity too precise to be coincidence. The stranger in the cafe repeats the words you were just thinking. A long-forgotten face appears at an impossible moment. A fleeting question seems answered before it is even fully formed in your mind. These events accumulate, and a strange clarity dawns. The universe is no longer an indifferent stage. It is a responsive, attentive participant in the unfolding of your consciousness. And as the veil between your inner self and the external world thins, you begin to perceive your life differently. Every action, every thought, every gesture reverberates outward, as though your very presence is an active note in a symphony of infinite complexity. Simultaneously, your body begins to speak in ways that are impossible to ignore. It becomes an instrument of integrity, a guardian of truth. A project that betrays your values, a relationship that demands self-abandonment, a place where pretense is currency. Your body refuses these compromises. Migraine, nausea, exhaustion, a sudden collapse into bone-deep weariness. These are not signs of weakness, but of profound fidelity to your own frequency. Your organism has learned to enforce coherence, to protect the authenticity that mere willpower or conscious choice cannot fabricate. The physical responses are swift and undeniable, an intimate language that tells you without rhetoric or philosophy that your path must be chosen according to the integrity of your being. And yet the path of coherence is not gentle. It does not allow for half measures or quiet compromises. As you begin to inhabit this resonance, the world responds in kind, sometimes with gentle harmonies, sometimes with abrasive discord. The clarity of your frequency acts as a lens refracting the hidden shadows of those around you. People may feel inexplicable warmth, trust, or admiration, or they may recoil with sudden irrational hostility. These reactions are not about you, not really. They are the echoes of unintegrated selves projected outward, forced into dialogue by your presence. You have become a mirror, and in this reflection, the unconscious world speaks. It is a strange and disarming experience to walk through life and realize that the mere fact of your existence elicits raw, unfiltered reactions from those around you. You do not raise your voice, you do not perform. Yet some people recoil as if your presence is a spark too bright, while others are drawn in as though they have finally glimpsed a forgotten part of themselves. This is the phenomenon of spontaneous polarization, the invisible force that magnifies the internal states of others against the backdrop of your own coherence. It is neither judgment nor reward. It is the mirror of inner truth, cast outward like sunlight, refracted through a prism. And it is terrifying in its honesty, for it strips away all the masks you once believed you could hide behind. There is no neutral ground in this place. You cannot merely drift unnoticed. Even silence becomes a statement, even stillness becomes a presence. For those who have not yet reconciled their own contradictions, encountering someone who has achieved a measure of inner integrity can be disorienting, destabilizing, even frightening. And yet for those willing to receive it, it can be a profound invitation, an unspoken offering to meet themselves more fully, to step closer to the mirror they have avoided for years. You begin to see that every reaction, every encounter, every glimmer of recognition or rejection is a data point in a vast invisible system that reflects the coherence of your inner world. The external chaos and the internal turbulence are no longer separate. They are intertwined, like the weaving threads of a tapestry, inseparable and simultaneously luminous. In this unfolding, the concept of control dissolves. You begin to understand that the illusions of mastery you once clung to, planning, scheming, shaping outcomes, are feeble attempts to contain what is fundamentally uncontainable. The universe does not yield to force, it yields to alignment. And alignment is not a simple act of choosing the right thoughts or performing the correct rituals. It is a process of radical acceptance of yourself, your contradictions, your shadows, and the tangled complexity of your psyche. It is a daily living negotiation with reality where every choice is informed by the resonance of your being rather than the expectations of the world. And as this alignment deepens, something remarkable begins to unfold. You realize that synchronicity is no longer a rare visitor, a whimsical trick of chance. It is the texture of your life itself. The world becomes responsive in ways that feel almost absurd in their precision, the right words, the right faces, the right circumstances appearing as though reality itself is leaning and listening and offering guidance. Yet this is not magic. It is a reflection of integration, a tangible sign that your inner coherence has begun to orchestrate its outer manifestation. You are both instrument and composer, witness and participant, a living resonance in the symphony of being. But with this resonance comes responsibility, a weight that is both liberating and exacting. You cannot retreat into passivity. You cannot feign ignorance or neutrality. Every thought, every impulse, every subtle fluctuation of intention is mirrored in the world around you. You are accountable not in some moralized abstract sense, but in the undeniable physics-like reality of cause and effect. And this can be exhausting, for it demands that you stop hiding, stop compromising, stop negotiating with the fragments of yourself that have learned to survive in shadows. To inhabit this clarity is to step into the luminous, unflinching truth of your own existence. Even in solitude, even in silence, this awareness hums within you. It is a vibration you cannot switch off, a frequency that courses through your veins like water through an unseen riverbed. You cannot pretend it away. You cannot dilute it with distractions or diversions. It demands presence, demands honesty, demands that you bear witness to your own becoming. And in the quiet of the night, in the pause between breaths, you feel the profound weight of it, the body that protects your truth, the world that reflects your inner coherence, the people who respond to the purity of your being before a single word is spoken. The first time you truly notice it, it is almost alarming. Your body, once a neutral companion to your daily routines, begins to insist upon its own counsel. It refuses the compromises you once bore with quiet resignation. A meeting that demands falsehood becomes an unbearable torment of the head and stomach. A conversation that asks you to conceal your truth triggers a sudden bone-deep exhaustion. It is as if your very cells are whispering or sometimes shouting that you will no longer participate in the performance of inauthenticity. There is no negotiation here. The body has become a sentinel, a biological arbiter of integrity. This is not psychosomatic weakness or the echo of old trauma. It is something far more sophisticated, a somatic intelligence that refuses to metabolize anything misaligned with your core being. When you inhabit this space, you begin to see the difference between neurosis and integration, between reaction and resonance. Neurosis generates symptoms from fragmentation and conflict. Integration generates responses from alignment and clarity. And with that alignment comes an undeniable sense of authority, not over others, but over the self. You can no longer betray your own truth without paying a tangible physical price. It is a kind of sacred accountability where every choice must pass through the filter of coherence. The body, the mind, and the soul are no longer separate instruments. They are a single vibrating system attuned to a frequency that cannot be compromised. Simultaneously, the world begins to speak to you in ways that defy ordinary logic. Synchronicities shift from curiosity to pattern, from novelty to texture. The universe becomes responsive in a rhythm that borders on playful absurdity. A bus number, a word spoken by a stranger, a chance encounter with someone whose presence solves an inner riddle you had barely formulated. At first, these moments may appear miraculous, almost uncanny. But soon you realize that they are not magical. They are predictable. They are the natural consequence of the harmonics you emit, the reflection of an internal coherence that the world cannot help but echo. Reality is not passive. Reality has become an interlocutor, a mirror, a collaborator in the ongoing dialogue of your life. And yet with clarity comes isolation. For many, this path is lonely. To resonate so purely, so transparently, is to illuminate not only your own truth, but the shadows of those around you. People may recoil in ways that are unpredictable, driven by forces within themselves that you neither create nor control. And just as often, others are drawn to you with a magnetic openness, willing to share their own vulnerabilities and long-suppressed truths. These reactions are neither earned nor deserved. They simply are a consequence of your frequency, acting as a catalyst for reflection in others. You realize that your presence is both a mirror and a prism. It reveals, refracts, and sometimes amplifies, forcing both yourself and those around you into a dialogue with what has remained hidden for too long. In this space, the temptation of the spiritual ego is never far away. It whispers, "See how rare you are. See how elevated you have become." But you come to understand that true integration is never performative. It does not boast, does not seek applause, does not demand acknowledgement. The frequency exists quietly, indelibly, in the effects it produces, not in the narrative you construct about it. Every physical response, every synchronicity, every visceral reaction of others is proof enough. There is no need to label it, to dissect it, to advertise it. The humility of integration is a quiet, unshakable knowing that the power you wield is not yours. It moves through you as naturally as breath moves through lungs. And in that knowing, you begin to grasp a fundamental truth. This clarity is not a destination. It is a living process, an unfolding dialogue between self-body and world. It is not comfort. It is not ease. It is a relentless, luminous insistence that you be present fully and honestly with every fleeting thought, every subtle emotion, every unspoken impulse. And in the yielding to this insistence, you begin to discover the first profound liberation, the freedom of being unrepentantly, uncompromisingly yourself. As this journey deepens, you begin to notice the subtleties of living within a coherent frequency. Life is no longer merely a sequence of events. It is a flowing dialogue between your inner state and the external world. Every choice resonates outward. Every hesitation echoes back. Every alignment manifests with quiet insistence. You realize that nothing is neutral anymore. The spaces you occupy, the people you encounter, even the objects and patterns around you respond to the clarity you carry. Your presence has become a living instrument vibrating in the invisible currents of reality, and reality's subtle yet unyielding answers in kind. The second layer of this experience is perhaps the most disarming. Synchronicity becomes ordinary. It ceases to be a rare visitor and instead forms the fabric of daily life. You think a thought, and within hours or minutes, the universe offers a reflection, a nudge, a precise correspondence that feels impossibly specific. At first, it startles you. You question your own perception, your own reason. But over time, the sheer regularity of these occurrences convinces you of a deeper principle: reality is listening. It is not responding to desire or whim. It is responding to coherence, to the alignment of your inner world with the unnameable currents that thread through existence. And in that revelation, the seduction of control, of manipulation, dissolves. There is no need to force, to push, to scheme. Presence alone is enough. Yet there is a cost to this heightened responsiveness. You cannot remain passive. You cannot hide behind distraction or false modesty. Every thought matters, every impulse carries weight. Even silence becomes expressive. Even hesitation becomes a signal in the network of being that surrounds you. The freedom of this clarity is inseparable from its responsibility, the realization that your life is a continuous act of co-creation. And this co-creation is not romantic or fantastical, it is brutally, insistently real. Every interaction, every encounter, every moment of choice ripples through the world, shaping outcomes in ways both visible and unseen. The final, perhaps most profound sign of this transformation emerges in your relationship with others. You notice that some people are drawn to you as if you carry a light they have long forgotten. Others, equally unconsciously, recoil as though your presence touches a shadow they have yet to face. It is a mirror of both your clarity and their own internal fragmentation. You cannot command it, you cannot manipulate it, you can only inhabit it. And in doing so, you understand something essential. The reactions of others are never truly about you. They are projections, reflections of the hidden, suppressed, or unacknowledged aspects of their own selves. You become the living echo of a potentiality they have yet to integrate, and the knowledge of this can be both humbling and overwhelming. This is where the path of high vibration demands courage. It is easy to mistake these signs for validation, to feel chosen, superior, or spiritually exalted. Yet, genuine integration is silent, subtle, and profound in its humility. It does not seek admiration. It does not measure itself against others. It is not performative. The body guards its own truth without ceremony. Reality mirrors coherence without commentary. People respond without instruction. And in this quiet resonance, you discover the final lesson of this journey. The depth of your frequency is inseparable from the surrender to it. You cannot coerce, it cannot manipulate it, cannot dress it up for recognition. It simply is. And within this acceptance, there is liberation. To inhabit your frequency fully is to move through the world with a clarity so exact that pretense becomes impossible, and yet so gentle that it requires no effort to maintain. You no longer chase signs or hunt for confirmation. You no longer analyze every coincidence or interpret every reaction. The body, the universe, the people around you, they all participate in a dialogue that has long since become second nature. You are no longer performing integration. You are simply being it. In the same way the sun rises without asking permission, the river flows without resistance, and the wind carries itself over the mountains. In this place, the search for meaning transforms into the experience of meaning itself. Life is no longer a puzzle to be solved or a scorecard of spiritual progress. Every breath, every heartbeat, every fleeting sensation carries the weight of a truth that no longer requires validation. The body, once a vessel of compromise, now insists on fidelity. The world, once opaque and indifferent, now responds in real time to the harmonics you carry. People, unknowing mirrors of their own inner landscapes, react with immediacy to the clarity of your presence. And in this triad of body reality and relational resonance, you discover a profound, almost terrifying honesty. There is no escaping yourself, no hiding from the truth you have finally embodied. The liberation of this state is inseparable from its cost. You cannot shrink from it. You cannot feign invisibility. There is no crowd in which you can disappear, no anonymity in which to dissolve. Your frequency is too well defined, too luminous, too insistently real. And yet in this insistence lies freedom of a kind few ever encounter. For the first time, you do not live according to external expectations, pretense, or the demands of conformity. You live in alignment with the unshakable integrity of your own being. The body enforces it, the universe confirms it, and the reactions of others underscore its necessity. This is not a state of ease, not a sanctuary from life's difficulties. It is the radical authenticity of existing fully as yourself without compromise, without apology, without avoidance. And the most delicate, the most sacred aspect of this frequency is its humility. There is no room for ego, no possibility of inflated self-importance, no temptation to interpret these signs as proof of superiority. True vibrational clarity is quiet. It does not boast. It does not seek validation or recognition. The power is not yours to claim. It flows through you as naturally as breath flows through lungs. The body reality and human interactions are not trophies to be displayed, but reflections of a process so intricate, so intimate, and so profoundly personal that it resists public comprehension. To live this frequency is to bear witness to life in its raw, luminous, and uncompromising truth. In this space, you begin to perceive the interconnectedness of all things. Shadows and light, chaos and coherence, pleasure and suffering, they are no longer dualities to be resolved or rejected. They are threads in the tapestry of your own becoming. The integration of opposites is not a moral pursuit, but a living dialogue with yourself, a radical encounter with your own complexity. Each moment of honesty, each refusal to compromise, each act of alignment strengthens the coherence that resonates outward into the world. You are no longer merely moving through life, you are shaping it, participating in it, conversing with it in a language of vibration and resonance that is entirely your own. Perhaps the deepest revelation is that this journey is without end. Integration is not a peak to be reached, nor a state to be captured and preserved. It is the continuous unfolding of awareness, the persistent alignment of body, soul, and reality. And in this perpetual process, the most profound freedom emerges, the freedom to inhabit your own frequency, without resistance, without question, without the need to prove or explain. You are free because there is nowhere else to go, no one else to be. You are alive in the unflinching, luminous clarity of yourself, and that clarity is its own reward, its own proof, its own legacy. If these words have touched something deep within you, if you recognize the echo of your own journey in these reflections, pause, breathe. Let yourself feel the resonance of your own life as it unfolds in real time. Share your thoughts, your reflections, your experiences in the comments below, not to prove, not to compete, but to bear witness. Like, share, and subscribe to continue this conversation with others who are walking the path of integration, presence, and vibrational clarity. The journey is not solitary, though it may often feel so. There is strength in witnessing and sharing, in simply existing together in the presence of truth.